Hey there, this is Gina with another Kingdom Sewing Minute Clinic, and today I'd like to talk to you about a feature that you may not be aware of on your machine. So today I'm working here with our Memicraft 9450, and we're going to be looking at our satin stitches here. So you can see on my decorative stitch menu, we're going to take a look at our satin stitches. And you may have stitches like this on your machine. Where you find the stitches and the setting for what we're going to be doing here is maybe different on your machine, but oftentimes if you have these satin stitches, you have the ability to make this adjustment that we're going to take a look at today. So I'm going to start off just by doing this little football stitch here, and I'm going to open up my settings page here, and you'll see along with our stitch width and stitch length, we also have our elongation. So let me back up a second and show you. We're just going to stitch some of this stitch out for you, and I am using some tearaway stabilizer underneath my fabric so that I can sew on just a single layer of fabric. Whenever you're doing wide stitches like this, the tension of the thread pulling on the fabric is going to cause it to buckle if you're just sewing on a single layer, unless you put something like this underneath. And this is a tearaway stabilizer, which means that after I am done stitching, it'll be perforated and I can just rip it off when I'm done, and so it doesn't have to stay in my project. So let's start off by stitching this pattern as is. And I'm just going to stitch one for you and we'll stop. And here you'll see this little sort of football stitch. Okay, so if we wanted to make this stitch bigger, our first inclination would probably be to lengthen the stitch length, right? So let me show you what happens when I lengthen the stitch length. It's at 0.4. I'm going to take it up to 1.0. Actually, maybe we won't go quite that far. Maybe we'll just go to 0.7. And again, I'm just going to stitch one for you. And you see that made it a little bit longer. However, what happens when you do that is that now we're starting to get gaps. So our pattern has been stretched out, it's longer, but we've got spaces in between. And that's going to continue to be the case if I'm trying to make it longer and longer. So now I'll go up to 0.9 and we'll stitch one more. And you'll see again it's a little longer, but now it's getting really a lot of space in between there. So there's a way that we can make this longer without having to have those gaps. And so again, we'll go back over here to our screen where we see our elongation right here. And it's at 1 right now. So you'll see we can go up to 2, and you'll notice on the screen over here you can see it expanding. So let me take this back to where it was originally, which was 0.4. That's the way the default is set for these stitches. But you'll see I can go 2, 3, 4, and most machines only go up to 5. So we'll start again and I'll stitch one for you, and then as we progress I will use that elongation tool so that you can see how we can make the pattern longer but maintain the stitch density. So here I'm going to stitch one as is, then I'm going to go to 2, we'll stitch another, and I'm going to go to 3, and then I'm going to go ahead, we'll skip 4 and I'll go ahead and go to 5, which is the longest we can do. So you can see here that all of these stitches have the same density, and I've just lengthened the pattern longer and longer. So this is a really nice way to give yourself more stitches than what you actually see on the screen, because we can change the size of those stitches. So let me show you just quickly on our Baby Lock Chorus, where we have our menu here of satin stitches. If I open up our stitch settings here, you can see we have that same elongation setting right here. And again, we can go, you can see the pattern changing on the screen, goes up to 5. So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in some of the Baby Locks, that function is in your settings pages here rather than on screen, but a lot of your machines that have satin stitch option will have that ability to elongate the stitches so that you can make them bigger without sacrificing the density of the stitch. So this is a really fun way to play with your decorative stitches. Give it a try. This has been your Kingdom Sewing Minute Clinic.